Hey friends, thank you for joining me on another video. So today we're going to talk about how to paint flesh tones, like skin tones. And the cool thing about today's video is that it's a result of somebody's question. So shout out to Crystal. Thank you so much for asking this question. She asked, how do I go about choosing colors for painting skin or flesh tones? And so we're going to talk about that today. So with that said, I want to encourage you, if you have any questions, no question is a silly question. Please feel free to ask. I do address them in the comments below. I do get to every single thing that people ask. I obviously can't do a video for every single question, but depending on what it is, and if I think it's a good fit for a video, I might do that. So please let me know. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if there's anything that you need help with. Whether it's something technical like how to draw, how to paint, or even something more like inspiration, getting motivated, stuff like that. As long as it's art related, I'd love to hear your questions and I'd love to answer them. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So what I'm doing here today is I've got these two characters. I've got different kind of complexion going. So I'll do a quick example of what that would look like. I'm not going to paint them. I'm not going to completely render them out. But I'm just going to paint like a quick portion of the character to kind of explain my process. And before I go ahead and get started, these characters are actually characters taken from a story that I'm working on with my pastor. His name is Dr. Keenan T. Bridges. If you want to check him out, he's got some amazing books on the Christian faith. But anyways, we're working on this book, on this story together. It's this really cool concept on, it's actually going to have some very cool themes and storylines that you've never really seen. I've never really seen, especially in animation before. So, and again, this is not an animation, this is actually a book, but in illustration, you've never really seen this kind of thing before. So I'm really excited about that. But for now, let's jump into the tutorial. Just wanted to give you an idea about like where these characters came from. All right, so I'm going to start with this character here. And again, the process is pretty much the same. And like I said before, I'm not going to really completely paint them out, but we'll just paint some little sections out. And hopefully it'll start to make, hopefully it'll make sense as far as my process goes. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm using to paint a general brush. So I'm using Photoshop, Adobe Photoshop, and I'm using general brushes. And I'm gonna pick this hard round pressure size brush. I'm gonna make my flow about 14% and my opacity stays at 100. I'll click on this here. Which is enabling like build-up effects. So it kind of creates a naturalistic painterly style. I'm going to start with this shape here first, this ball here. It just kind of resembles her skin. Let me see if I colored select. It's a little bit different, so let me go ahead and edit that. So I'm going to start with this. This is like my local color. So when I'm choosing skin color, as far as like your local color, this you can you have some flexibility. So let me make this bigger here. So this is the color that I've got selected here right now. What you don't want to do, I guess what I'll say as a rule is, you don't want to go too saturated or too desaturated with the skin. So so it's not like there's a pick this particular color for this kind of complexion. No, that changes because some people do have a little bit more yellow in their skin, or some people have a little bit more red. So, and that's fine. What you don't want to do, and I know this is obvious, but I just got to say it, like you don't want the skin to be, like that. And that was super exaggerated, but you'll see that even if I slide it over a little bit, even this feels like too orangey, too yellow for skin. Okay, so you don't want to do that. You don't want to go too far over that way, but you also don't want to go too desaturated. And that's a lot. But yeah, like even like this, I know that this seems obvious, like, oh, who would do that? But trust me, I see it. I see it all the time. Now, you might, if this character is in a nightclub scene or something, let's say if I have like a dark color background, right? And let's say it's like a nightclub or something. Then of course you're gonna have like, you're gonna have, the skin is going to change depending on the light that's around this character. So if there's neon lights around you, and it's probably not going to be that strong, but you're going to have different crazy colors like that. For the sake of this video, let's keep it very simple. Let's just kind of use standard, let's say overcast lighting or outdoor lighting, just something kind of soft and normal. I just wanted to kind of share that because people are always going to say, well, what about this situation or what about that? And I just wanted to kind of point that out. Like, yes, depending on the lighting and the color of the light that's in this, that's lighting your character, that's obviously going to change. But for the most part, something like this where it's not too saturated or desaturated is a good way to go. Again, some skin complexions do have maybe some more pink in it, or more yellow or whatever. So you can vary that. But now let's jump into how do you paint it. So how do you do light and shadow? So in other words, how did I land here? This is the shadow under her chin, or under her jawline. And then this is the local color. So let's go ahead and use this sphere to kind of address those things. So I'm going to use the shadow color, and I'm going to go like this here. So the way that I kind of arrive at this shadow is that I use my local color. So I color pick that. And then when you watch this over here as I toggle between these two. Do you see the way my shadow color, which is this? You see the way it gets a little warmer? There's a little bit more red in it. And so I go down because your values are, these are darker down here. And then this lightens it. So dark, light. So I go down, but I don't go straight down. So see this here, if I have my local color, if I went straight down, this is how a lot of times you end up getting like kind of muddy colors. And so that's not terribly bad, but it just doesn't, I like to add a little bit of warmth to my shadows. And again, depending on the light source and a lot of things, they can vary and they can kind of manipulate what this, or determine what this shadow color is going to be. But for the most part, I like to kind of go a little warmer like this here with my shadow. So I'm basically picking this color, right? And then I'm kind of going down and I'm going this way. Not super, I'm not too much. It's just a subtle, if you look, I'm going slightly down to the right and just a little further down. So a little bit of darkness and a little bit of warmth to that color. And then that's how I kind of arrive there. Now, as far as blending, that's why I keep this at like 14. You know what? Let's make it actually 8. So I'll bring it down even more. So as far as blending, I just kind of, I pick my shadow color, and then I just kind of dab through. And then I color pick these like, because this is not as dark as this, and it's not as light as this. It's somewhere in the middle. So then I just start color picking. And I keep color picking like this. I color pick. So I have my one hand on the keyboard, and I'm clicking Option. So Option is a shortcut to my eyedropper tool like this. So I hit Option, I brush, I hit Option, I brush. And I just kind of keep doing that until I have a nice blend effect. I'm not going to get this super polished and perfect because I want to try to not make this video too long. But you kind of get the idea. So that's how I kind of do that. Now I've got a pretty good light and shadow here. I want to maybe push this a little bit darker. So now I'm going to go down. And maybe this is too saturated. So I'm going to bring this back over to the left. There we go. And then I do the same thing down here. So again, it just depends on how you want to light your character. Do you want dramatic light and shadow? So, if there was something in between this character and the light source, so if this character was standing like in front of a strong light source, or like, let's say that there's a building, like the character's outside and there's a building shadow kind of casting over this character. Maybe that's not a good example. Maybe a pole or a tree or something. You could have like a darker, like a harsher kind of shadow like this over the character. But for this sake, I'm keeping, I'm keeping everything just kind of soft. Imagine if it was kind of like overcast lighting outside, or, it was indirect sunlight kind of hitting this character. Maybe something more like that. So that's pretty much it. What I'm doing is I'm picking my color. I'm making sure it's not too saturated. And when I do my shadows, I'm going down and adding, I'm not going straight down, and I almost never, I don't think I ever go down this way. Because a lot of times what people think is that if you add black to it, then that's a nice shadow color, and it's not. It looks terrible. So if I have my local color here, and let's say if I go down and I add black to it, some people think that. You see how gray and just muddy that looks. It's not, even if you were painting a zombie or some sort of a creature or something, you still wouldn't do this. It's just not the natural way of adding light or shadow, I'm sorry, to the character. So that's the way I kind of do that. Now, I'll do this other character over here just quickly, just for the sake of consistency. So I've got this, same thing. Let's go like this here. Let me make her bigger. So let's see. So I'm going to make this bigger so you can see what I'm doing here. So I'm going to color pick that. That's my local color, right? I'm going to come down. Okay, and I know it's hard to tell, but I am going a little bit closer to this side here, to the right. So I came down a little bit to the right, and then I'm going to add a little bit of red to it, just a little. And then that's my shadow color. I'm going to bring it down again. I actually moved it a little bit more this way because it was too saturated for me. Meaning too, like too bright, like too, saturation is just like how much brightness is to that color versus like desaturated. It's going to feel more like black, going more towards black and white. So I didn't want it too saturated. So here you go. So here's my shadow color. And then same kind of thing. I just kind of dab. And then I keep painting until I have a nice blend. And what I like about this, and the reason why I'm using this hard edge, this hard round brush, is because it gives me that nice, you see the way you can still kind of see some brush, some texture in there? If I use a real soft brush like this, almost like an airbrush, I'm not going to have that. It's going to, let's see, if I go back over here, it's not going to, it's just going to blend, it's going to feel very digital. It's going to feel very like you painted it in a computer. And it's not going to have that brush kind of painterly kind of look to it. So going back over here, same kind of thing. Another thing that I like to do with skin is color variation. Kind of like the way you see here, the ears are a little bit more red than the rest of her face. And in actuality, she might even have, her cheeks might have a little bit of that, and your chin. These are all areas on your body that you do, on your face, that do have a little bit more kind of like blood running through it. So they tend to be a little bit more red. We do exaggerate it when you're painting like cartoon style, like animation style. We do kind of push those a little bit more. But it just gives it more of that fleshly kind of look. But the thing that I was going to get to before is that one of the things I like to do also is add color variation. So here's the skin color. Let me go ahead and just make this a little bit darker, just so that it's a little bit more pronounced what the the shadow area and the highlight area is. All right, and like I said, I'm not making this too perfect or anything. So there we go. So here's the shadow. I keep messing with it. Sorry, guys. Bear with me. So here's the shadow, and here's the shadow, sorry, and then this is the light area. What I like to do, color variation, is very, very subtle. I just kind of shift it. Let me see if I zoom in so that you can see better. And then you see there's a little bit, it might be hard to tell. There's a little bit more red. Let me see if I push it even more. You see the way there's a little bit of red like this here? And then I kind of paint the yellow back. So I want there to be kind of a mix, a soft kind of mix of red and yellow kind of all blended in. And once you blend it all in, it feels, it just kind of makes it feel more alive, more like flesh, like human flesh. Instead of just having like a solid color, which is fine if you're going for like a comic booky kind of hard edge kind of style. But in the way that I like to paint, I kind of like to have this kind of a little bit more realistic look to it. So then I take this color here, and then same thing, I just kind of push it up a little bit higher to create like a highlight. And then if let's say if the character has a really strong highlight, then you know, that's so this is kind of like what you might see like here on the character's nose. You know, like you might have a little, like a stronger highlight there. You know what I mean? So hopefully that makes sense. I just kind of painted in these spheres. Let's go ahead and I'm going to jump into this character here. So I'm going to do a quick little pass. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but I'm going to do a quick pass on her. But I wanted to show you just with these spheres quickly what that looks like, so that I could jump in. I'm gonna kind of speed up this process a little bit more and talk through some stuff. So let's say I'm gonna just do some of her face here. Let me see if I can turn off this sketch. I don't think I really need it for this. Let's see. So let's see if I'm smoothing out this jawline here real quick. Sorry, I'm getting nitpicky with stuff. All right, so what are the areas that are going to cast shadow? If the light is coming, let's say from somewhere up towards the left side, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select her hair. And I'll show you why I'm selecting her hair in just a second. I'm going to select her hair, and then I'm going to go up to Photoshop. I'm going to do Select Inverse Selection. And now this is going to paint everything outside of the hair. So I had the hair selected, and now I went invert selection. So now it's going to paint everything that's on the outside of that. So this is what I mean right here. So if I take this shadow color, you see as I brush, it's not interfering with the hair. It's kind of like all on this side. So what I want to do now is, if the light is coming from somewhere on the left side, then she's going to have a shadow casted. And I'll fix some of these things. I'm going to have to paint over this eyebrow and stuff. So it's going to kind of cast a shadow over her face like this. Because she's got like, she's got a lot of hair. And so that hair has volume, and that hair is going to cast a shadow over her face. This is the other side of this nose, this top part. This is like the other side of her cheek, her other cheek. And all of that is pretty much going to be in shadow. She's kind of like a little bit about the character. She's kind of like a rebellious, it's got a little bit of a mysterious kind of mystery to her. And so one of the reasons why her hair is kind of hanging over her face like this. But anyway, so yeah, so the light, the hair is going to cast a shadow over her face like this. Okay, so there's that. Again, you know, as you see, it's a little bit warmer shadow. And then this here, I want this to be darker because as I want to give it a little bit of a shadow under her jaw. And when I do that, you're going to see that it's all going to just kind of blend into this down here. And I want to kind of separate that. So I'm going to add a little shadow on the lower part of her chin, like that. And then I want this to go even darker, a little bit darker. So let's see what that's going to look like. Maybe I want a little bit more red in there. And I'm kind of imagining that's kind of like where the jaw ends. Okay. All right, and looks like she's got like a beard or something. So we're gonna fix that, but I'm just kind of trying to determine where the shadows are gonna be. You know, there might be a little bit of shadow under her nose here, like this. Okay, and then actually on the inside in here, I like to kind of give it a little shadow as well. Kind of like the, I don't know if that's called like the eye socket or, but anyways, that in there. I'll quickly just brush in the eyebrow again, just so that we don't completely lose it. I'm gonna end up painting over it again, but I just want to remember that I need to kind of fix that. So all right, so that's kind of like where I'm determining that the light is going to be. Let's see. Yeah, because see the hair kind of comes down like this here and then falls in here. This part in here is all behind her head. So this isn't casting a shadow. This is what's casting a shadow. So let's go ahead and just so that it can make a little bit more sense. Let me paint the inside of this. This is like inside and then more towards the back of her head. So if I go ahead and select the hair, there we go. That way I don't have to worry about messing up the face. So I'm going to go even darker. I think I'm going to go pretty dark, and I'm adding more red to that. And this one's a little bit, so this is hair. But it's the same kind of thing. I almost never just go and add like, you know, so here's the hair color up here. I almost never go like this and add black that way. I can't really think of a scenario in which I would do that. So if you see I had here this, I went down. Let me see where I'm at. Yeah. So if you see this, I kind of went down and added some red to it. And that's how we kind of arrived at this color here. And that's like the real dark, that's more for like the real dark areas of her hair. Okay, so that's what I'm doing there. So see, now that starts to make a little bit more sense on what I'm trying to achieve. I don't know that I want to go necessarily, I think I want to go even darker, to be honest. So let's pick that color again. Let's push this even more. Sort of like this. And then up here it gets really dark. I'm going to hide this sketch for now real quick. Up here it gets really dark, and then it gets a little bit lighter down here. I'll do the same thing up here. Okay, and so then now, whoops, that created something weird there. Let's fix that. All right. And I know I said it doesn't have to be perfect, but I don't want to confuse you. That was strange. Okay, so yeah, so you see now how that starts to make sense. So this isn't casting a shadow on her because this is behind her head. But this bit of hair right here, this chunk of hair, and this is casting a shadow on this part of her cheek, on this part of her face. Okay, so now, same way that we did with the ball, now we're just going to blend this, okay? So let's see what that looks like when we blend this. So now I'm just going to kind of dab and blend. Because this isn't like a cast shadow or anything. This is more like a form shadow, like her face. Actually, I don't think I want this to be so so dark. I think I want to brighten it a little bit. And I think it's a little too gray. I think I want to add a little bit, yeah. I think I want to add a little bit more saturation. Not a lot, but just a little bit more to it. And I know it looks kind of crazy right now, but what we're doing is we're just kind of getting this bottom part here like this, and then we're going to go through and blend everything nice and soft. And like I said, if normally, I mean, this could take a few hours. For me, you know, it could take maybe an hour, maybe not a full hour, but it's different when you're kind of painting while you're teaching, because you're trying to, for me at least, trying to like explain everything that you're doing versus not having to give it any thought and you just kind of go for it. But yeah, you could spend a lot of time rendering something out. But you see now how it feels a little bit more like dimensional to her face. So she doesn't feel like as flat. And then I like to kind of soften this over here. Okay, and because her eyes they're not closed, but they're kind of squinty a little bit. Again, she's kind of like, I don't know how to describe the expression that I was going for, but she's kind of, attitude. She's got a little bit of attitude, teenager. It's not overt. It's not like super exaggerated. She doesn't have like a super, you know, attitude like to her face, but she's just not really, she's not really smiling. She's not really, there's not a whole lot of expression to her. But anyway, so you see here, I've really softened this so that this feels round on her face, okay? And then what we're gonna do is, let me see if I soften this edge down here. And then this here, because her hair is actually casting a shadow, I think I actually wanna go a little bit darker. And I don't know if I'm gonna have time to paint over the other character, but let's see how this goes. I just want to kind of explain what I'm doing here. Okay, so the hair, let me soften that. And so then in here, let's go ahead and push this a little bit darker. That's too saturated. Okay, so like that, and then it starts to really feel a little bit more, again, more like dimensional, you know. And then I don't want this shadow to be soft like this, because I want it to look like a cast shadow, like it's being casted from her hair. But I don't want it so sharp the way it is now either. I do want to soften it a little bit, and so I'm not gonna blend it too much, but just a little bit, just enough to kind of soften it so that it's not such a harsh line. Okay. And I can darken this even more, but for now I'm gonna leave that like that. This isn't, again, there's a lot more that I would do to this to really render it. Under her nose, if you see this, because this is pink, this shadow color is different from this, because it's all skin, but what I'm going for, this kind of red nose, this kind of, there's a little bit more red in her nose. This shadow color, I'm going a little bit, you know, it's not the same as this. And that's because the local color of this nose, the way I'm painting it, is different from the local color of these light areas on her skin. So I'm going to go ahead and push this down a little bit. And then I do want to blend this just a little. And then I do want the under part of her nose down here, I do want it to be a little bit darker. Yeah, I want it to be like that, a little bit darker, and then it starts to kind of soften up here as it gets to this part of the nose here. Okay, and then up here in the nose area, I'm selecting this color. I'm gonna add a little bit of red to it, and I'm just gonna kind of dab through a little bit, soft, just to add a little bit of color variation. I could give her a nostril and everything, but I don't want to get into that. I'll leave it very stylized and simple for now. I don't think that's the way the final character design is going to be, but again, for now, I'm just going to leave that. I know her eyes look kind of weird, but I wanted to get more into like skin tones. So let's go ahead and give it, so this is the light color, but now we can add highlights, so stronger highlights. I'm going to make this a little bit more yellow. I don't want it to be yellow, I'm just adding a little bit of yellow to it. I'm pushing that highlight up a little bit higher, there we go. Okay, and all of this here is going to be catching light. I have her birthmark on a separate layer, so I don't have to worry about painting over it. And then this highlight color, I'm also going to hit it up here. Okay, and then this lighter color is also going to come all the way down here close to her mouth. All right, and then I am going to soften this so it's not so harsh. If it's a male, like a male character, or if you're doing like a villain or something, it is nice when you have like that harsh cheekbone. Females can have it too, obviously, but it just, again, it depends on what you're going for. This is more of like a teen, like a kid kind of thing, and I feel like when you start to do that, it starts to age the character a little bit. Again, you'll find an example where you're like, well, what about this? And so there's always an example, but I'm just kind of explaining my process and as it fits for these characters that I've designed here. Okay, so I'm softening that. So again, you see how there is shadow down here, but it is pretty soft. I'm having this up here. I'm going to soften this like that. And then I am going to also grab like a highlight color and I'm going to hit this here so that I can create like, this is like her eyelid. Because remember I said that she's kind of squinting a little bit. And so when you do this here, this now starts to give that eyelid some form. And what I'm trying to do when I paint this, you see this top part that I painted here? What I'm trying to do is, let me see if I write a note. Let me find a real loud, obnoxious color that stands out. Yeah, this one does. So what I'm trying to do when I painted this, like I have this squinty-eyed kind of character, is when I painted this, I'm trying to imagine what the whole eyeball looks like. Okay? So that's how I kind of painted that part up there. I'm kind of imagining what that looks like. And then in here, because this is like, you know, there's a lot of, it's like loose skin, that eyelid. Like if you grab your eyelid right now, you can kind of pull on it. Like you can, I know it's kind of gross, but it's very loose skin. And that skin, where it meets up with this part of your head, is going to have a darker kind of wrinkle shadow here, like this. Even if you're young, even if it's a young person, you're still going to have some of that. If it's an older person, it's going to be even more pronounced. But all of this stuff makes the character feel, you know, more like 3D and stuff. All right, so maybe soften all of this a little bit. I know I said I wasn't going to get... I always say that I'm not going to get too, like, into the details, and then I get carried away. I really love to paint. And it's always the same excuse. I always say this. I always say, you know, I'm not going to do it, but I just love painting. But I really do. I love the process. If you don't enjoy these, like all of this stuff, it's going to be hard to get good at painting, because this is what it is. This is most of it. Unless if you're doing very loose paintings, like for my job, I do a lot of loose paintings and I don't have to spend as much time. And even then, I'm guilty of spending more time than I should in all these little areas. But if you're trying to get this like kind of 3D look, this painterly 3D kind of style that I tend to paint often in, then yeah, this is, it's a process. So again, you could spend more time and softening all of this or whatever, but I'm just kind of, I'm trying my best to just kind of go through it. So see, that's casting a shadow. I think I might want to push this. I'm going to bring this my flow down to like 3%. And I'm going to grab this here. I think I'm going to punch up the shadow down here even more. And then I'm just going to soften everything. There we go. I like that. Okay. And then under here, I'm going to punch up that shadow a little bit more too. Okay, like that. All right, and man, I'm really tempted to painting more. This eye looks wild. It looks crazy. There's so much stuff that I would obviously, this looks white, but it's actually not. Like if I go in here and I punch up this, get it closer to white. Let me adjust my flow back to 9%. There you can see like this is actually white, okay? And painting an eyeball is a whole other thing. If you're interested in, hey, what about just eyes? Can you do a tutorial just on painting eyes? I'll do that. I can do that if you're interested in it. Again, this eye looks crazy. There's no like iris or anything in it, but I'm not gonna get into that, because then I'll really get tempted to really rendering and painting that out, and I just don't want to do that right now. I want to kind of stay focused on skin. So, and then this nose here, the way I have it red, I kind of have this highlight bleed over, like soften it, like kind of bring it over onto it so that you can't really see where the red pinkish stuff ends and where the other part, the regular skin color, begins. I also like to take this and I like to add a little bit of pink to the cheeks. So this is where I say like that color variation. I like to bring in some, like a little bit of red, like a little bit of pink to the cheeks. I'm going to bring this highlight color down here on the chin because the chin is going to catch some light there. And then I'm going to blend it. And then right under the lip, this lower lip, you are going to have shadow under there. And that's a little too yellow, like saturated. So, but yeah, you are going to have some shadow under there. And then, like I said, then, you know, you want to just kind of blend things out. This part here, it's a little bit, there you go. Make sure that this is catching the light. Like that. And then under here, I want to just, right on the edge of this chin, I want to just punch up that shadow a little tiny bit more. And then I want to adjust the shape of this. There we go. And then under here, under the nose, like the nose itself is actually casting a little bit of a shadow as well. Okay. And you want to be careful with how dark you go in certain things, because then it could look like a mustache or something. You know what I mean? You don't want that. And then in here, kind of like the way I did this bright highlight here on the edge of the nose. Same thing here. As light as this is, you know, boom, when you bring this up and add some yellow to it, look at that. It really kind of makes it feel like a nice little highlight there. And then the same thing for this, for these lips. I want to just bring a little bit of shadow underneath here so that the lips don't feel like they're just flat drawn on there. Same thing here. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but just kind of bring a little bit of shadow on the under part of this here. And then I soften that. And then this top lip, because it's kind of facing down, you know, kind of like this. I don't know what's the best way for me to explain. Sort of like if you're looking at the lips from the side, okay? If you're looking at, and this is terrible, but if you're looking at lips from the side, this top lip is always, again, standard. Like if it's lit from the top, or the light is coming from up here, this is always going to be darker, and then this lower lip is going to be lighter. It's going to be catching the light, okay? So then this here, I want to go ahead and make that, I want to make that darker. And I really want it to be darker than the lower lip. I want to make sure it is. So something like that. And then maybe under the nose, this is more like, I'm kind of eyeballing it. I can kind of gauge what I feel like it should be like. And so you're going to get better at this the more that you do it and the more that you paint from reference. So real quick, I do want to add in there, you want to paint from observation. So paint portraits, you know, do all of that. It's not always just the creative stuff. You have to do the practice painting as well if you want to. If you want to get good at like painting characters and doing your own original stuff, you have to first understand how to paint from actual life. And so painting the human face, you know, so that you could understand what does the cheek shadow look like versus the shadow underneath the jaw, and things like that. You know, what does the female face look like versus the male face? What kind of differences do you notice on the female face versus the male face? An older face versus a little kid's face, things like that. All of those things help. And so the more that you kind of study, like I said, from real life, the better that your character paintings are going to be. There's a lot that I want to do with the ear and all these other things, but I think that so far for now, I think that I'm pretty good with that. I hope that this makes sense for you. Let's just real quickly look at highlights real quick on this character. So again, this is really just selecting the color that I have here again, and then let's just lighten it up a little bit, but making sure, I like to kind of add a little bit more saturation to it. So again, same kind of process as the other character. And then you're just trying to, again, you do want to continue to think about where is this light coming from. This is kind of just very evenly, I should say, lit from maybe like the top left or something like that. But then I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't have like any dramatic, like crazy things going on with light. And it's just a little bit more complicated to do, or it can be. So again, I'm just kind of keeping to a very simple light setup, very standard, nothing too complex. And yeah, same thing. I'm just gonna kind of keep selecting here with the eyedropper tool. This is the lighter part up here, these planes that are facing up. Okay. And then it just kind of softens here as you start to transition into the planes that are facing down. You know, so kind of like this, as you look at this ball up here, the light is catching, and as it transitions down, it starts to get darker. So it's the same thing with the head. If the head is a ball, you know, or I shouldn't say it's not like a perfect ball, but it's kind of like a sphere, you know. So there's going to be planes facing up and then planes facing down. And if the light is coming from the top, then the planes that are facing up are going to catch those highlights. So again, not really going into like full crazy render mode, but maybe just trying to go over a few things to give you some tips, things to kind of go by. So again, I really do hope that this is helping you, that this does clarify some things. If you want to see more like stuff in depth, like if you want me to go into more detail, let me know in the comments below. Let me know if you don't mind a much longer video. So I know what you're thinking. I know you're thinking, longer videos? Like, bro, you're 40 minutes. We're 40 minutes into this already. And so, you know, this is still a relatively young YouTube channel, and I'm just trying to figure out what's the best way that I can provide you with quality content, with quality information. And you know, I know that there's people that prefer the 5-minute videos versus the 45-minute videos. Some people like the longer ones. So my question to you is, are you okay? And I know I've asked this before, in fact. Are you okay with a mix of both? The fact that I feel like most of my videos range between like the 5 to 12-minute video. And then every so often I have more of these teaching videos tend to go much longer. Are you okay with that? Or do you prefer even the teaching videos to be more within like the 15-minute, 10-minute range? If so, if that's the case, then it's going to be less content. But as I mentioned in the video, I do have my online store, imagemakersociety.com, where I do sell different teachings in there, and I'm going to continue to build on that library. But I also offer one-on-one. So like we could jump on a Zoom call, we can talk art, you can ask me any question, you could ask me to review your portfolio, I could give you feedback on that. I could answer, again, it could be technical questions, it could just be kind of, you're struggling with staying motivated or inspired, things like that. So I do those one-on-one Zoom calls, and those do depend on my availability, and I believe that you can find them on my website, imagemakersociety.com, and for a certain price. I can sometimes work with you on a discount and things like that. Again, it just depends on my availability. So let me know. The best way for me to continue to give you content that you're interested in is by just hearing from you and understanding what it is that you prefer to see. So just wanted to kind of throw that out there. let's get back to this video and wrap it up. Again, I hope that this blesses you. I hope that this helped answer some questions about choosing flesh tone colors, about painting a character. There's a lot of things that we didn't touch up in here, but you know, this is just one of many videos to come. So I hope you enjoyed it. God bless you guys, and I will see you on the next video.